All right, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mona Bell. I serve as Associate Director of Georgia Sea Grant at the University of Georgia. So today I'll inform you a little bit more about our research traineeship program. This is an opportunity, research, education, and professional development opportunity for undergraduate and graduate students working in Georgia. So meeting information, this meeting is being recorded and is going to be posted on our biennial research webpage, but on our research traineeship program webpage for future reference. You all are muted. Please make sure that you stay muted until the end of this meeting. At that time, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. You can also use the chat window to ask questions. So let me tell you a little bit more about the Sea Grant program. So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has 34 Sea Grant programs all across the nation. The goal, the mission of the Sea Grant program, the National Sea Grant program, is to stimulate research, education, and outreach so as to create a wise stewardship and use of our coastal ocean and marine resources. There are 34 Sea Grant programs that are located in every coastal state in the US, including the Great Lakes region, Puerto Rico, Guam, and Alaska. The mission of Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant is to support research, education, and training and outreach activities that promote the environmental and economic health of our coast by helping improve public resource policy, encouraging far-sighted economic and fisheries-related decisions, and anticipating vulnerabilities to change and preparing citizens to be wise stewards of our coastal environment. We have 4 focus areas under which all of our work is organized. They're environmental literacy and workforce development, resilient communities and economies, healthy coastal ecosystems, and sustainable fisheries and aquaculture. And these are very important for you to remember, because we do ask that when you do prepare your application, tell us how your work is relevant to our mission and falls under one or more of these focus areas. So the research traineeship program is meant for underqualified undergraduate and graduate students who are working in different disciplines at different universities and colleges here in Georgia. We provide a stipend that offers students the opportunity to work under the mentorship of a research faculty and a professional mentor. The traineeship stipend does not cover tuition and fees. The trainees, they are expected to work very, very closely with the faculty to conduct coastal, marine, and ocean science research, to formulate methodology and actually engage in the scientific process, the scientific method. We don't expect our trainees to simply be a research technician or a laboratory helper. The goal of this program is to create the next generation of scientists and science leaders. So we really want to make sure that the students who receive funding through the research traineeship program are indeed actively engaged in research, education, and professional development activities. Funding information for this year, we have about $120,000 set aside for this program. The graduate traineeship applicants can request up to $25,000 in assistantship, and undergraduate traineeship applicants can request up to $4,000 in stipend. The start and end dates are August 1st through July 31st. Please remember that graduate trainee awards are made to the department in which the student is located and is working, and the undergraduate traineeship awards are made directly to the students. In other words, graduate trainees must work very, very closely with their faculty advisor to submit your application to us through EC Grant, and I'll talk more about that. And undergraduate trainees are similarly required to work very, very closely with the faculty advisor, but at the same time, you don't have to route your application through your university's sponsored program office. So that is the main difference. The undergraduate student awards are made directly to the student in the form of a check, and the graduate traineeship awards are made in the form of subcontracts to different departments where the student is located. Applicant information, these are the application requirements. I'm going to go over each of these requirements so you get a sense of what we are asking you to submit to us. So firstly is your CV. It's your applicant and mentor information. So we do require the applicant, the undergraduate or the graduate applicant, to submit a 2-page CV to us. We also require you to submit information, contact information, name and contact information for your faculty mentor and a professional mentor. Their CVs are not required. And let me talk a little bit more about faculty mentor and a professional mentor. Like I mentioned before, the research traineeship program it was designed to ensure that students get the opportunity to conduct research on cutting edge coastal, ocean, and marine science issues. And we believe that students can do so under the supervision of a faculty mentor. But in order to ensure that students gain a plethora of educational and professional development experiences, we do require students to identify a professional mentor. So the professional mentor is somebody who understands the broader implications of your science. They could be somebody from Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant. It could be one of our extension staff or faculty. It could also be any non-academic expert or practitioner who understands your research, or who is engaged with your faculty advisor, and who could provide you with that kind of professional guidance and support that you might need to understand the relevance and the broader implications of your scientific work. So, it could be anybody, like I said, who is a non-academic and who is going to provide guidance to you during your undergraduate and graduate school student journey. Your CV. So this is, please do, if you can, pay attention to the next couple of slides, because these slides are relevant not only to our research traineeship program application, but when I talk about CV and a couple of other elements, these are relevant to other Sea Grant opportunities as well, including our Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program and our State Fellowship Program. So these are some important things that you might want to consider paying attention to. So a strong and competitive CV is one where you provide us information about your academic background, but you also provide us information about any kind of professional experiences that you've had. This could be your employment, your volunteer and extracurricular activities in any relevant academic, applied research, administration, or any kind of positions that you might have held. Your CV should also talk about your expertise relevant to your career stage. So if you're an undergraduate student, we understand that, it's likely that unless you took a break from your academic journey, you may not have had those professional experiences, which is just fine. And the same goes for graduate students as well. But, so pay attention to all other aspects of your personal and professional life that demonstrate that you stretched yourself outside of your comfort zone and you pursued more leadership, public service, and professional development experiences outside of your academic curriculum. So, mention your honors and awards, any fellowships that you received, any scholarships that you've received in the past. Basically, your CV should demonstrate that you are willing to stretch yourself outside of science, you're willing to understand the implications and the relevance of your scientific work with the broader society. So please don't shy away. Several times times I've seen students focus their CV only on academic accomplishments, and they do not mention their professional service or their leadership in other outreach or extracurricular activities. The research traineeship application, as well as all the student applications, for different Sea Grant opportunities that we offer, we evaluate your application based on your holistic potential to be successful in coastal ocean marine sciences. We ask our the review panel to look at your application materials holistically. So please keep that in mind as you're preparing these materials. Your career and personal goal statement is one of the most important components of your application packet. This goal statement gets to the things that motivate you, inspire you, and why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that you love? So the goal statement has to be specific, direct, concise. It should articulate very, very clearly what your long-term career goals are and how your academic and professional journey so far has is forwarding those long-term career goals. It should provide evidence of critical thinking, analytical thinking, and it should indicate your ability and willingness to make connections between science and the broader society. And you can do that by narrating. So, for example, if you've had research experiences as an undergraduate or even as a graduate, mention not only what you worked on, not only what your scientific research topic was, but also talk about the broader impacts of the work that you're doing. Why does it matter? So talk about the significance of your research in your career and personal goal statement. Also talk to us about what you learned from that experience. So that is critical. Several times students write, just write or mention all these different experiences that they've had, and do not really articulate the skills, the knowledge, the abilities that they gained from that experience. So whether it is your experience in research, whether it was your experience, at a study abroad experience, the kind of leadership and professional service that opportunities that you've pursued. Do talk, your motivations for doing that, and then what you learned from it. Definitely ensure that you write that. So it should demonstrate your ability to convey scientific knowledge to a broader non-scientific audience as well. The goal statement, obviously, it should have clear objectives that should align with the broader mission of what we do here at Sea Grant. So strongly encourage you to once again go back and reflect on the mission and the focus areas that I shared with you, and make the connection between your research and our focus area and mission, and write that in your personal and career goal statement. Your research plan has to be a concise, clear statement of your research work. It should demonstrate relevance to Georgia's coastal ocean or marine environment. It does not have to be focused on Georgia's coastal ocean or marine environment, but we strongly recommend that, even if you're conducting research on broader coastal ocean or marine topics, make sure that you articulate how those topics or how that research is relevant to our coast. The application should address, like I mentioned before, one or more of our focus areas, and you should also think about the broader implications of your work. After you have drafted your career goal statement and your research plan, I would strongly encourage you to work with your faculty advisor and your professional mentor, if you've identified them already, to have them review these statements for you, to make sure that they clearly outline the things that we're asking you to provide us. You should also include a budget and a budget justification. Your budget sheet should just include a simple budget table. So if you're asking for $25,000, we want to know how you're going to use those funds. So you should provide us by category of expenditure the total funding that is required, and then break it down into how you're going to use that funding. So you could provide us detailed information about travel. You could include costs related to number of travelers and destinations. I don't know if travel is going to take place this year, but if it is travel, please do break it down. If it's supplies, mention why you need those supplies. If you need a laptop to do your work or a software to purchase, you must provide justification as to why you need that money to do the research that you're proposing to do. We also need 2 letters of commitment from your faculty and professional mentor. So basically, we want to the aim of these letters of commitment is we want to know that your faculty and professional mentor are committed to provide you with guidance and support and mentorship that is required for the successful completion of the research traineeship program. The letter should demonstrate the knowledge of the applicant and their abilities. So your faculty or your professional mentor should have read your CV and your personal goal statement. They should know something about you to write a letter of commitment for you. And it should clearly outline the mentor's role on your project. How do they plan to guide you through your academic and professional journey over the next 1 year? Your academic preparation, it should this basically gets to any kind of publications, presentations that you've had. It gets to your transcripts. So your transcripts are they demonstrate not only the kind of courses that you took and the grades that you made in your classes, but they also display your academic performance. And once again, how did you prepare yourself? How are you preparing yourself as a scientist to tackle the most complex coastal ocean and marine issues? So your transcripts are important, and they can be unofficial. They can be uploaded on the website. You have to submit your application using our online application management system. It is called EC Grant. The URL is ecgrant.uga.edu. If you don't have an account on EC Grant, please register on EC Grant and create an account. It could take anywhere from 24 hours to 2 or 3 days. So please make sure that you do so in time. Create an account and then follow step-by-step instructions that are given on EC Grant to submit your application. When you do submit your application, hit the submit button just to make sure that the application is actually transmitted to us. A couple of important dates. So January 15th is when the call for applications was released. Today is the informational webinar. Your applications are not due until March 15th. So you have a fair bit of time to establish those connections with your faculty and professional mentor if you haven't already. If you need help identifying those people, please get in touch with us. We'll help think about people who could serve as, especially your professional mentor. Several times students don't have problems identifying who could be professionally associated on their research project. So if you have trouble finding that kind of professional connection, please do get in touch with us. We will have the merit review panel on April 21st. The merit review panel is composed of people who administer these fellowship programs at national, regional, and state levels. It is also composed of our previous fellows or trainees, as well as some members from the advisory board. All of these people who compose the merit review panel are once again going to evaluate your application holistically based on your potential to be successful in coastal ocean marine sciences, instead of nitpicking or focusing on just one aspect of your academic and professional journey. So keep that in mind when you put together your application packet. Keep in mind that the panel is going to evaluate everything holistically. The funding notification is usually made in mid-May, and then the traineeship begins on August 1st and goes all the way until July 31st of next year. We require all of our trainees, all Sea Grant funded students, to participate in our student onboarding program. This is usually in a non-COVID world. This program, this is an event that takes place on the coast. We take all of our students down to the coast and have introduced them to our staff and faculty and our partners, and you get to work and play with us for almost 2 days. But it's likely that this year the student onboarding is going to take place online, similar to the year 2020. And so the dates, it usually takes place over a period of 2 or 3 days. We will have those dates ready for you by probably March or April. So, it is required that you participate in student onboarding. We also, something that I forgot to add is our research symposium, research and student symposium. It's a yearly event. It's an annual event that happens in the month of May. And we expect our students and researchers to participate in that symposium. We usually invite you to present, a summary of your research work and results till date. So please keep in mind that opportunity as well. That usually takes place in May. So for students who will get selected for the research traineeship program this year, they will need to, they're expected to participate in our research symposium in May of 2022. You can participate this year as well. Actually, we would strongly encourage you to participate in this year's research symposium as well. We're still trying to determine the dates, but it's going to once again take place in the month of May. So please do keep that in mind. I also wanted to highlight a couple of other opportunities. I talked about all these application materials that can actually be used for other Sea Grant opportunities. And one of the stellar opportunities that Sea Grant offers is the Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program. The goal of the Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program is to provide educational and professional development experience to recent graduates who are interested in ocean, coastal, and Great Lakes resources, and they want to work on national policy issues that impact these resources. The award amount for this fellowship program is $84,000. That includes your fellowship stipend, relocation expenses, as well as professional development opportunities offered through the Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program. The deadline to apply is February 19th. I've been working with several students to ensure that they submit a competitive application packet. So, this is an opportunity where if you're considering applying to this opportunity, please do get in touch with me ASAP so that I can provide you with some more guidance on how to submit the application packet and work with you, to ensure that your application packet is indeed very competitive moving forward. So Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program places students in the executive or the legislative branches of the government in Washington, D.C. However, we don't want all of our students to go to Washington, D.C. So we created our state fellowship program. The goal is similar to the Canals Marine Policy Fellowship Program. It's an educational and professional development opportunity for recent graduates who are interested in coastal and marine resource policy issues, but right here in Georgia. So we have identified a couple of our partners who serve as host offices for Sea Grant State Fellows. We currently have 3 host offices. One is the Georgia Audubon Society, a Department of Natural Resources, and Grays Reef National Marine Sanctuary. So we have 3 fellows in these offices. And it's likely that these offices are going to serve as host offices in the year 2021 as well. The award amount is relatively small compared to the Knaus Marine Policy Fellowship Program. However, the experience is no less significant. The award amount is $35,000. The call for applications is likely to be released in March of 2021. We'll have an informational webinar this year in April of 2021. The full applications will be due in June. And this state fellowship program begins in August and goes through September, July of next year. So it begins, depending on the host office, it could begin on August 1st or September 1st. We've had students who are, trying to finish their masters or PhDs and take a little break or kind of simultaneously pursue the state fellowship program. It is a full-time educational and professional development opportunity. So, we just keep that expectation in mind if you apply for the Knaus or the state fellowship program. We also have a new program which is meant for all of those, all of you who are artists, writers, and scholars. The goal of this program is to engage people from arts and humanities into advancing our mission. So we want to strengthen artistic voices and enhance Georgia's profile as a place where artists, writers, and scholars can thrive and offer fresh perspectives on our natural resources. So the application information, all of those details are available up on our website. Please have a look at that. If you are a scientist, not an artist, or a writer or a scholar, please pass this along to anybody that you know. We would love to see diverse people apply for our artists, writers, and scholars program. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Before that, I see our director, Dr. Mark Reese, is here. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself first and add anything?
Sure. Mark Reese. I'm Director of Marine Extension, Georgia Sea Grant. And
I can't hear you, Mark.
You can't hear me, huh? Hello? Hello?
Hey, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, good. Hi, I'm Mark Reese. I'm Director of Marine Extension, Georgia Sea Grant. I'm in our Athens office. Sorry I was late getting on. I was on another conference call. Mona did a great job of introducing it. I enjoy working with students, and I commend you all for participating in this and look forward to seeing y'all's applications and hopefully working with some of y'all over the next year.
Thank you, Mark. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself and also briefly talk about how our communications department works with students?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Kimworthy. I'm our public relations coordinator. I oversee our communications program. I am based on Skidaway Island at the Shellfish Research Lab. So we are always trying to get our research trainees involved in some of our communications efforts. We have research trainees write a student blog for us that gets posted on our website and shared in our newsletter. And we encourage students to submit more than one blog if they're interested. We're always happy to share your work. And another thing we're really trying to promote is having our research trainees do Instagram takeovers for us, where they basically go out in the field for a day and talk about the research that they're working on, introduce themselves, share their work, share their process and their methods, and then we share that on our Instagram platform with our audiences. So it's a great way to get folks engaged in marine science. And there are several other ways we could work with you all during your traineeship, and please reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you, Emily. So for those of you who are considering applying for the research traineeship program or any of the student fellowship or internship opportunities that we have to offer, our communication department offers you the opportunity to engage in science communication, which is an important skill in your professional journey as a scientist or a science leader. So please do keep in mind. At this point, happy to take any questions. You can unmute yourself, or you can use the chat function to ask anything.
Hi, thank you so much for such a wonderful, informative webinar. I wanted to just clarify something about the professional mentors. I'm assuming they do have to be working and living in the state of Georgia, correct?
That's a very, very good question. In the past, we have certainly asked, and I think that's probably the goal right now too. Mark, what do you think? I can see how a professional mentor could be located outside the state of Georgia. The faculty mentor definitely has to be in the state of Georgia. So I don't know, Mark, what do you think?
I mean, I think I'm not going to eliminate the possibility of it, but I mean, we are really, Georgia Sea Grant is really focused on funding projects related to Georgia. So I mean, we're not going to, for example, fund a project where all the work's done in North Carolina and the mentor is there. But if you can make a case for why a mentor might be somebody out of state, even working on a project in Georgia, I think that would be allowable. I don't see why not.
Thank you for that explanation, Mark. I hope that answers your question, Justina.
It does. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you. Other questions? All right, well, hearing none, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We can have 28 minutes of our hour back. So I'm going to stop the recording here. Like I said,